Thanks, Angela.
Indiana Secretary of State is facing a lawsuit over a new law that prohibits college students from using their college IDs to vote.
So this law was passed in this year's legislative session. It takes effect July 1st. Our 13 News State House reporter Emily Longnecker spoke with one of the groups involved in the lawsuit.
Yeah, the lawsuit was filed by two nonpartisan nonprofits who advocate for voter registration and voter turnout, and an IU student who, up until this new law passed, used his student ID to vote. The lawsuit calls the new law a surgical attack on young voters.
It was super simple.
That's how IU college student Anushka Pandey describes casting her ballot in last year's presidential election, the first one she was old enough to vote in. Pandey's from Carmel, but was going to school at IU at the time.
I went to vote early in Monroe County. I presented my Crimson card and they scanned it and that was it.
The next time she votes, though, Pandey won't be able to use her college ID after lawmakers passed a law banning their use as proof of identification to vote. Pandey was one of several people who testified this year at the State House against the proposed bill.
Essentially, it goes against voting rights.
That's basically what this lawsuit against Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales, the Indiana Election Division, and the Monroe County Board of Elections alleges.
We're indicating that this puts an undue burden on students.
Women for Change Indiana is one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit. Part of the nonprofit's work deals with voter registration and voter turnout on college campuses. They say the new law will now mean even more work surrounding voter education for college students.
We're going to have to do additional training. We're going to continue to have to advance the conversation with young people in particular, that they need to have their ID, not that their college ID will work.
13 News reached out to the author of SEA 10, Republican State Senator Blake Dorio, for comment on the lawsuit, but did not receive a response. During the legislative session, Dorio said student IDs didn't have the same kind of scrutiny or rigor as driver's licenses, and that this would keep people from voting who didn't have the proper ID. Those against the law, like Anushka Pandey, say the law is a solution without a problem.
They haven't produced any evidence of this type of voter fraud in general.
The law is set to go into effect on July 1st, but this lawsuit asks for an injunction, basically to put the law on hold until a court can decide whether it is constitutional. Coming up tonight at 6, I'll have some thoughts from Secretary of State Diego Morales on why he supports this new law. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Thank you, Emily. The lawsuit cited a Monroe County election supervisor claiming that in the 2024 general election, 2/3 of IU students who voted used their student IDs to vote at on-campus polling sites.